This episode of predictocast is sponsored in part by our wonderful Patreon supporters. If you want to support us on Patreon and get hours of bonus content every month, head over to patreon.com/predictocast. Special thanks to Alexandra,
Andrew Walker,
Daniel Ifland,
Darren Husted,
Felipe Sobrero,
Gigi Launchbog,
Jessica Lynch-Jonley,
Justin Talbot,
the Kill by Kill podcast,
Kip Reed,
the Let's Get Weirding podcast,
Roddy Gardaki podcast,
and Tyler Petty. Thank you so much for your generous support. We couldn't do it without you.
Could we not?
No, we definitely couldn't.
Oh, thank you then.
And now on to the show. Hello and welcome to a mini episode of predictocast, the podcast where we predict a movie's storyline after watching only the first 10 minutes. I'm Josh, and with me as always is Skinner. Hey, Skinner.
Hey, Josh. Hey, everybody.
We have a lift in our voices because it's the day before Election Day.
You know what I consider this instead? You know what? We just finished our spookiest month, right?
That's true.
Had a lot of fun. Really enjoy October. Probably really not going to enjoy the next few days. Forget that. It's Christmas time. Merry Christmas, Josh. I want to be the very first person to wish you Merry Christmas. The days of the Garfield Halloween special, they're over. We are now in the days of the Garfield Christmas special.
Is that the one with Lyman?
No, Lyman's not in any of them.
Well, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and to you out there listening. This mini episode is kind of a special one because next week on the show, it is our 100th movie that we have covered here on predictocast.
That is impressive. For us, I am complimenting ourselves for having watched so many movies. And we talked about almost all of them.
Now, this does not include anything that's on Patreon, of course, so we've gone well past 100 movies if we're counting it, but on the main feed proper, we started way back in February of 2017, and we are hitting movie 100. It took us a while to get here. I know a lot of shows they get there a lot faster than us, but you know, it's a big milestone for us. We're very excited about it, and we're excited about what we've done in these past almost 4 years, and as a way to sort of honor where we've been. We wanted to, for our 100th movie, look back to the very beginning of it all, where we started, what we started with way back in February of 2017.
What a different world back then.
It was very different.
It was very different. We didn't have as nice mics. We have changed the format of the show a couple times. Don't worry, more to come. But one thing has been consistent. We pick movies in general, no one else would care to cover because no one else would care about them. And that has been an extreme limiter on our popularity. Not my personality. It's probably my personality, but also the topics.
No way, man. You're the funniest one on the show. I keep the show moving. You get the good zingers in there.
Only because I threatened to beat you up if you ever try to steal my spotlight. We've had great movies. Like we started off with Cousins, the 1989 classic that everyone told us, why haven't you watched that before? I can't believe you're doing a show about movies you don't know about. And you started with a movie we all know about. Number 2, we went to a documentary about somebody who lost his leg and then fought with somebody who got his leg. And that's Finders Keeper from 2015. Then we went to Stretch. I don't remember what Stretch is. Followed by Army Dog. Followed by The Avenging Fist, which was supposed to be a Tekken movie, but they didn't buy the rights to it. Then after that, we had Easter special? Why would we do that?
Hackenstein.
Oh, that's right.
After
Because
that,
we didn't like
Robot
the movies
Wars
with the
/ Killbox, our first movie that had 2 titles.
which would be a running thing for this show. Thunder in the House of Magic was next, followed by Halloween Hell, where we have been stuck
After
in
that, we
ever
went
since.
straight
Straight into Pottersville because that was hot at the time. We thought people would want to download this podcast about Pottersville. We were deep
wrong.
into the part 1 and part 2 section of our shows now. We did Raw Meat. I don't remember that one either. After that was A Dangerous Summer. I have no idea what that was. After that, we did Summertime Christmas. I have no memory of doing that.
Remember
This
after
one, we
that-
did Night of the Dribbler. That was terrible. After Night of the Dribbler, we went to Endgame, which was probably better than Night of the Dribbler because everything is. The Unicorn Store was next. We started
And
doing
then
Avenger movies with ample warning from a mini episode. We got to where we're at today when we did Without Warning.
Well, thank you for recounting all of the films that we have done up to this point.
As I take a deep drink of grapefruit sparkling ice, which has sponsored this episode, in that I paid for this bottle and I'm going to drink it on air.
So thank you for doing that. I'm sure that the listeners will love hearing you recount every film that we have done on the show up to this point. But like I said, going all the way back to the very beginning, we did Cousins when we started out, and we wanted to, for episode 100, do something that was kind of thematically connected in a specific way to kind of, perfect circle, in a way, our first 100 films. And so that's why next week on the show, for our 100th film, we are covering 1993's Distant Cousins.
Wow, that is... You know how hard it is to find movies that have the word cousin in it and aren't a perverted short film?
We did try to look around when we were trying to figure out what we would do for our 100th movie, and we're like, what can we do? So we searched for Cousins.
We searched high and low for cousins.
We did. And predominantly they seem to be French short films where probably some cousins are making out.
I mean, we don't know for sure. I know we didn't search, the porno tubes for the word cousins either. But
no, we didn't do that.
They were so many of Le Cousins that it seemed a little off. No judgments. Maybe they're just sitting there smoking and talking.
Maybe. But yeah, so we are going to cover Distant Cousins. And that long list of movies you read, you mentioned us having movies with double titles. And I believe this one might also have a double title. It's Distant Cousins / Desperate Motive.
Wow, what would be so desperate a motive you would need to involve your distant cousin?
Hey, I'm wanted for a crime. Can you just say we were making out? But I'm your cousin. Yeah, but we're distant cousins.
No, here's the thing. Like you say, like I need an alibi. We'll pretend you're my cousin, but my distant cousin. People will be so busy talking about that they'll forget what they're accusing me of. Like how far is distant? Like what point during the cousin chain?
Ooh, that's a good. Yeah, are they second cousins or like third cousins?
My mother in particular was very particular in making sure I knew exactly if someone was a first cousin, second cousin, or third cousin. And then there's like cousins once removed or twice removed, which is different, I believe. And I, as a kid, thought, this is dumb. Either someone's my cousin or they're not. I know it's important for who you make out with. But in general, it doesn't matter how distant it is. You probably should try, if there are any available options that aren't a distant cousin or a close cousin, to avoid choosing your cousin as your person to make out with, unless you are trying to avoid some sort of crime.
Okay, so what is this going to be about? I mean, with me saying that there is a second title called Desperate Motive, that makes it feel like it's going to be a thriller.
I hope so. We haven't had a cousin-related thriller on this show. 100 movies on the main feed alone. I could go over them again if you want, if you missed that part.
No, I think they can just go back and listen if they need a refresher.
Okay, cool. And while I clearly didn't remember what a lot of them were about, I would have remembered they were thrillers about cousins. We should mention another connection in this movie to the stars of the original Cousins. That was a remake of a French movie about cousins.
Yes.
That we watched. That movie starred Ted Danson and I forget his name.
William Peterson.
William Peterson, Mr. CSI himself and Mr. Replacement on CSI himself.
Yes.
This movie stars Mark Helgenberger from
Yes.
CSI.
Yes. So we unintentionally had that connection there. Like we saw, oh, Distant Cousins, what's this about? And then I happened to notice that she was there and I was like, oh, this is great. We should definitely do this because it has the nice little connection back to the original. And you know what? There's one more important reason why we needed to do this movie.
Because it possibly has fucking cousins.
Well, no. This is apparently a TV movie, so I don't think that that's going to happen.
Is it a Christmas special?
No, but there is a very important reason that this would be good to do on the show, and that's because it came out the day before my 8th birthday.
I am glad that when we hit the 100th episode, that this is like the 95th episode you have tied in some way to your birthday on a random year, and not exactly on your birthday, but the same month as your birthday, the same week as your birthday.
Yeah. The day before I had my 8th birthday, I could have been watching Distant Cousins
on television. Hey, on your 8th birthday party, did you invite any distant cousins to your party?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's possible that I did have some cousins at a birthday party.
That'd be a pretty good time. You know what's good at when you're a kid? You know what's good at parties? Your cousins. They'll stay later. For reference, my father is from a family of 9. My mother's from a family of 7. I have
so lots.
And like some of my uncles have upwards of 10 kids.
Oh boy.
And I am on my father's side, I am the second youngest of all my first cousins. My mother's side, I am the youngest. So not only do I have lots of first cousins, they're all older than me. And a lot of them, by the time I was born, already had kids themselves. So I have literally hundreds of cousins.
What would that make them to you? Is that that's not your niece?
No,
right? Like your cousin's child. What is that? Your cousin niece? It's
either second cousin or first cousin once removed.
Okay. Can you make out with them?
No, I can't because of a lot of things. They're all too good for me.
Yeah, I had some distant cousins that were, I think, like second cousins or maybe even third because they were the children of my grandmother's sister's kids. So I don't even know the tracking of that.
They're technically you're still your cousin somehow. Also, my grandmother was one of, I think, 18 kids.
Oh my God. Your family did not believe in protection.
No, they didn't. I believe that is, okay, maybe she had 13 and she was the oldest and the second youngest did have 18. Yes, that's what happened. So it's one of those things where when I was younger, we would go to any town in Canada and sometimes the States, and my mom would go, "Oh, we're going to stop in and see somebody. They're your cousin." And that meant fucking nothing to me because I have so many aunts and uncles. And also sometimes they were my cousin's kids, my cousin who I had never met, kids.
Yeah, and they were the same age as you.
Yes, the same age as me. And like go play with their cousin. I'm like, why?
Oh man, family reunions were always awful because you would see a lot of these cousins that you never knew and that you didn't really have any connection to. So you would just see them at a random family reunion thing that I didn't want to be at.
Do you think this movie is about a distant cousin at a reunion and everyone's kind of awkward and someone doesn't remember their cousin's name?
Ooh, maybe this. I mean, it's a thriller, so I don't know why that would happen, but you never know.
It's a TV thriller. It's like a really low stakes thriller of I have to figure out their name before the movie ends, but I can't ask them directly.
It's an extended Seinfeld episode.
Basically, yes.
Well, I'm excited to check out this made for TV thriller from the early 90s. Maybe it'll be kind of in that maybe it'll be in a sleazy vibe like Power 98.
Oh, that's that. That is a guy. How has our good friend Eric Roberts never been in a movie where he tries to sleep with his cousin?
Ooh, I bet he has. He's been in a lot of movies.
He has. I mean, that's pretty much like he would be good at that, but at the same time, not sure I want to watch it,
Yeah, that's true. But I think that's probably going to do it for this mini episode before our 100th film. If you want to know what our thoughts are on Distant Cousins, you're going to have to join us next week on the show. Maybe we'll compare it to our first film, Cousins, and see how they stack up to each other.
I've already told you I don't remember how most of our movies went. I could go over that list again, and we can figure out which ones I.
Oh, no. I think we're okay. But until next week, when we are back talking about Distant Cousins, I've been Josh.
I have been Skinner,
and we predict you'll join us. If you like the show, subscribe, rate, and review us over at Apple Podcasts. We're on Twitter and Instagram at predictocast, and you can find our entire back catalog at predictocast.com. Our theme music is by Kyle Sledge. Find more of his work at soundcloud.com/geistmusic. To get monthly bonus content, sign up at patreon.com/predictocast. As always, thanks for listening. We're your cousins now.
We are distant cousins, but we love you. And you have to buy us a Christmas present.